So we have a problem of leadership. We have a problem of followership. Look at what we find in verse 32-24, Surah As-Sajdah, the 24th verse. And we made from among them leaders, guiding by our command when they were patient and when they were certain of our signs. So if we want leaders, we want strong leaders who have power, who can change our situation. Well, we have to change what is in ourselves. And here is the prescription that Allah gives. We have to have patience, sabr, patient perseverance. When we're faced with all of these pressures, all of these challenges, literal genocide is happening. We have to be patient. We can't lose hope in Allah. We can't start diverging. We can't start changing the religion and compromising our religion. That's sabr, and there has to be certainty in the signs, in the ayat of Allah. We have to have certainty. Unfortunately, we see the opposite in the ummah. We see the opposite in compromising parts of the deen that can never be compromised. How much has there been a compromise to secularism? How much of a compromise has there been to liberalism, to feminism, to democracy, democratic capitalism? How much of a compromise have we seen in the ummah for the past 200, 250 years? And you have Muslims who are advocating changing the Sharia, changing the law, updating it, revising it, and bringing all kinds of excuses for this. This is reformism. This is secular reformism. And it's being taught in the madaris, in the Islamic universities. All of these compromises that are being taught. Why? What's causing that? What's causing people to want to compromise, to reform Islam? It's because of lack of certainty in the signs of Allah. Lack of certainty in the promise of Allah. We just don't have the same certainty that the Sahaba had, that if you follow Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you will succeed. You will be granted tawfiq in this life and the next. Where's the certainty? Now we have doubts. Like, are we really going to be successful if we don't adopt, a Western model of marriage, a Western model of divorce, if we don't adopt a Western model of schooling our children, if we don't adopt a Western model of organizing our families, of organizing our masajid, of organizing our communities, organizing our nations, our governments? Will we really be successful? No more certainty, no more confidence, no more patience, no more sabr, no more perseverance. So how are we going to get leaders? How is Allah going to bring us leaders? Leadership is something that Allah grants. It's one of the benefits that Allah, one of the blessings that Allah brings to people when they deserve that leadership. So everyone who is waiting for the Mahdi, Imam Mahdi, to come, like, oh, well, we're suffering, we're being subjugated, we're being genocided, the Imam Mahdi will come and solve all these problems. What? Why? This is the wrong conception that you have. You have to change yourself. You can't be in the same state. You can't be in the same lowly state of compromise and lack of certainty, reform, liberalizing, feminizing, secularizing. Allah's not going to bring an imam for you to take you out of the humiliation and the subjugation. That humiliation and the subjugation that we're all suffering from is because we have reformed, we have compromised, we have changed, we have gone further and further from the Sunnah. That's the punishment. The punishment is to be subjugated. That's what we're suffering. It's the ummah's problem. This is what al-wahan that the Prophet ﷺ described in the hadith, where he says that all the nations will gather to eat from the ummah as if they're coming to a dinner plate. And you're going to be weak. You can't do anything about it. You can't save yourselves. You're going to be weak as the foam on the sea because you have this love of the dunya and you have a hatred for death. The dunya has penetrated in your hearts. So you, for example, you want to have, I don't know, what's an example? Like you want to have an Islamic conference, and at the conference, you're not going to abide by any kind of gender segregation because, that's kind of, it's, not ideal. Separating the genders, do we really need to have that? Do we really need to have a barrier? Like, oh, we have this conference and, oh, we need to have like female speakers, front and center talking to the men, boss babes. Like we need to have the muhajjaba who's going to be wearing this costume and speaking about the Quran. Like we have to have it. We have to. we have to, or in our countries, of course, we have to have this kind of parliamentary system. We have to. That's the way that it's done. That's the way that it's done. Well, can you justify that this is the way that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it, or the Sahaba, the Khulafa? Is this how they did things? Well, we have to. Like, well, what's going to happen if you don't? What's going to happen if you don't go by the script that others have written for you? What are the consequences? That's where the fear of death comes from. That's where the fear and oftentimes it's just a paranoia. It's not an actual threat. Like, we're not going to actually kill you. We're not going to actually destroy you if you have a gender segregated conference or you have a Muslim country that is run according to the Sharia. You're not actually going to die, but it's a paranoia that you've created because Shaitan has come and whispered to you and said, oh, if you don't do things according to this model, according to a secular, feminist, liberal model, you're going to be killed. So you fear death. You love the dunya, you fear death, and then you compromise. This is a lack of yaqeen. This is a lack of certainty in the promise of Allah. So, of course, there's not going to be any leaders. There's not going to be an Imam Mahdi that is going to come. Only if you have that certainty. Only if you have that certainty in the promise of Allah and you do your best. And we're going to fail. We're not going to always accomplish in our personal lives or even on a communal level or a national level. We're not always going to be successful, but we try. We try our best. And we ask Allah for forgiveness for our shortcomings. That's very different from the situation that we have now where there's no attempt.